While exploring the history of American education in class, the most captivating subject I've learned was the history of African American education. From W.E.B. Du Bois to Cornel West, African American education has been increased in awareness. In this presentation, it is my goal to talk about the history as well as the people who helped influence African American education. Very few blacks received any education at all until public education was established during the Reconstruction period. However, these black schools were usually at the mercy of the white-controlled state government for funding. Because of prejudice and racism, black schools received far less financial support than white schools. Black schools had fewer books, run-down buildings, and teachers who were paid far less than the average teaching salary. As you can see, this old, wooden, run-down African-American school, which was located in South Boston, Virginia, was only a few blocks away from this visually well-kept white school building. This vivid comparison of schools is the result of racism and segregation in the early 1920s. W.E.B. Du Bois was born William Edward Burghardt Du Bois on February 23, 1868, in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. In school, Du Bois always showed a keen concern for the development of his race. After graduating from Fisk University, Du Bois became the first African American to earn a Ph.D. from Harvard. W.E.B. Du Bois was known for voicing educational philosophies that were in contrast to his counterpart, Booker T. Washington. Unlike Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois believed that industrial education was not a true promotion from slavery. Du Bois believed blacks should come together under his influential essay called The Talented Tenth. The Talented Tenth described the likelihood of 1 in 10 college-educated black men becoming leaders of their race. W.E.B. Du Bois believed this would help guide other African Americans into learning and thinking in order to create a new social mind that would contradict the racist, oppressive system. Du Bois strongly believed that blacks needed a formal education in order to illuminate their full potential. During the 1950s and 60s, racial segregation still existed in public facilities such as restaurants, public transportation, and schools. Although the Declaration of Independence stated that all men are created equal, African Americans were often treated differently than whites in many parts of the United States. Many state legislatures even enacted laws that made racial segregation legal. These laws came to be known as the Jim Crow laws. After many legal fights and the realization of injustice, Delaware, Virginia, Washington, D.C., South Carolina, and Kansas filed cases against the racial inequality of public schools. On October 1, 1951, all 5 of these cases were appealed and consolidated to the Supreme Court under the name Brown v. Board of Education. Thurgood Marshall was the main lawyer who argued the case before the court. Marshall argued that separate school systems for blacks and whites were unequal and violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. On May 14, 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that separate educational facilities were inherently unequal and unconstitutional. Although it would be many years before all segregated school systems were to be desegregated, the Brown v. Board of Education case allowed blacks and whites to finally learn and be educated in the same classroom. After this case ruling, San Francisco State University became the first four-year college to establish an all-black studies department in 1968. In 1969, the Ford Foundation gave $1 million to Morgan State University and Howard University in order to help prepare faculty members to teach courses in African American studies. Meanwhile, Thurgood Marshall went on to become the first African American to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. Dr. Cornel West is an American philosopher, author, critic, and a class of 1943 university professor at Princeton University. There, he teaches African American studies. Dr. West is an important voice to African Americans in education today because his school experience and accomplishments encourages everyone. For example, at age 17, West enrolled in Harvard as an undergraduate. He took 8 courses per term as a junior and graduated 1 year early, achieving magna cum laude in literature. After Harvard, West pursued his doctorate in philosophy at Princeton University. Indiana University identifies Dr. Cornel West as a man who was, quote, devoted to celebrating African American citizens who have left an indelible mark on people of all cultures and races. Today, West has spoken to students, activists, as well as scholars about topics such as race relations, cultural diversity, and education. Another influential achievement took place at Urban Prep Charter Academy for Young Men in Chicago, Illinois. This charter school is the country's first all-boys charter public high school. Urban Prep was founded in 2002 by a group of African American education, business, and civic leaders led by the founder named Tim King. In 2006, the year the school first opened its doors, only 4% of students were reading at grade level. After 4 years of heavy mentoring, extended school hours, and determination, August 12, 2010 became a day of gratitude for these young men. Not only were these students about to graduate, but all 107 seniors got accepted into four-year colleges. During graduation, founder Tim King asked the graduates to take the stage and recite their school creed one final time. All together, with raised arms, they recited 2 words, "We believe." Afterwards, they tossed their graduation hats and tassels as the crowd cheered. From racial segregation to now, African Americans in education have a lot to be thankful for. Influential leaders of the past and present have encouraged me, as well as others, to keep going no matter what. As an African American female college student, I am proud of my heritage, as well as the freedom to work towards a college degree. With determination and a positive mindset, I believe I can do anything I put my mind to.